always. Always. We're sitting here just west of Lubbock, Texas. And we've got some storms around us, but we're waiting for a couple of really bad ones to come up from the southwest. So we had this rancher give us permission to come out here on this little plateau up on a big hill. Matter of fact, I'll back up and let y'all see exactly
clear.
Can he get around us? So that's the sun setting out to the west. We're just west of Lubbock. But if we back up, this is what's coming up from behind us. It's going to be pretty wicked when it gets here. There's 2-inch hail and heavy winds. So that's what's coming up from the southwest. But we thought you might want to see the sun set out in Texas in the Great Plains today while we're sitting here. So this is what I tell everybody, if you hadn't been out here, you need to come at least one time. Not necessarily when it's storming, but you need to see a sunset in the Great Plains. We're sitting, I think we're about 60 miles due east of Lubbock, Texas. And this is going to be a long night. Where are they at? But with the sun heating up the atmosphere here and making it even more unstable, we got tornado watch out for this entire area of Texas. It's not even a big area. It kind of goes from kind of goes from a little bit. Well, they must have extended it. No. Yeah, this tornado watch only goes from like Amarillo to Abilene to Lubbock and back. Almost, but not quite to Oklahoma City. But again, while we were sitting here waiting on these storms to come in from behind us, it's going to be really bad. This one right here in front of us is kind of sitting on top of us. They're barely moving out here today for some reason. But we thought you might want to see the sun setting behind one of these thunderstorms. We're up on a plateau. Can't believe how bright it is out here. But I don't know whether to turn and let you see this lightning coming in behind us. We got a lot of cloud to ground lightning. We got an hour and a half of it last night that I'm going to edit. We wasn't live last night, but we sat there and got about an hour and a half of just nothing but cloud to ground lightning and spiderweb lightning through the clouds. So I'm going to edit that back down and we'll post that sometime this coming week. May add some rain to it, but this is we're 60 miles east of Lubbock, and a farmer rancher was nice enough to let us use his little place here up on it's kind of on a plateau. Way up, I can see way off in the distance up here. And he's allowing us to film and get video. I'll turn around so you can see all the lightning off in the distance here on the plains. So if you look just across that line, those storms are coming in from the southwest. And you off in the distance, you'll be able to see that cloud to ground lightning. Way over there with Kenny.
Yeah, it's up there. There's one right there too.
So one of these storms coming up behind us here just got tornado warned. I'll back up and let you see a little bit more of where we're sitting at. We got a great spot here. So there's his shed, but we can go all the way 360 here, and including behind us. But can't go too much further down this road because of it's so slick here. But we got a lot of lightning come up off in the distance. I bet we can see. Like that lightning strike there, we can probably see. Let me zoom in. Why? I can't get that just right. It wants to zoom in too much. But with this sun coming out here and heating this atmosphere up, it's already very, very unstable. But now down to the southwest, we got a storm coming in, and we know that because of the lightning. And we got a big, I don't know if you can see it, but we got a little bit of a rainbow there for a minute. I can't believe the sun is coming out. It's going to really destabilize this atmosphere. And this thing's just getting started. This started about 45 minutes ago, give or take. Yeah, we started getting these storms just firing up. Yeah, we're up on a plateau. I don't know if you can tell it. If you zoom in, I bet we can see 25 miles across there, maybe even further. We're up on a plateau. The rancher was nice enough to let us stay here and film. We're actually inside of a locked area. Hopefully they don't lock us in. See, maybe you can see that big. Oh yeah, now you can see there. So rainbow isn't necessarily a good thing. It's good if you're storm chasing because that means there's a lot of ice crystals and instability up there in that cloud. That's the direction the storm is coming in from the southwest. And you really can't tell on the live feed, but that is a huge rainbow. And it just keeps getting brighter. I think it's going to get pretty big here in a minute. So this is the farmer's shed, but I can tell you what, on the other side of that shed, and we can't get over there because it's too slick. These roads up here, we already got stuck on, almost got stuck on one yesterday. They get a little bit of water on them, they go from being hard as a rock to you're going to get stuck. Hey, Cheyenne. Glad all y'all could join us. We're out here, we're about 70 miles due east of Lubbock, Texas. And we are, let me tell you, it's 20-25 miles from civilization. We were actually out here last night trying to catch up some storms, and that just impossible last night. But we literally drove almost 75 miles and never saw another car. And but we've got a bunch of storms firing up down here this afternoon. We're in a tornado watch already, but it's not a big one. It's only, actually we're sitting right in the middle of it, and it probably only covers about 75 miles in all directions around us. Look at that. That rainbow is really getting dark. But I'm pretty sure we can see, like I said, on the other side of that building, if we could get over there, this is kind of like a little plateau up on the hill out here, and you can literally see maybe even more than 25, 30 miles. I mean, we can see way off in the distance. But that's the direction that storm's coming in right now. We got one tornado warning below us. The real problem we got out here today is there's so many chasers. And that's why we asked the rancher if we could come out here and sit. We was afraid we were going to get run over. Easily within 50 miles of us, we've got 200 chasers I can see on the radar. Each one of the certified spotters, if you're on the spotter network, your red dot pops up on the radar. I actually turned mine off. I'll turn it on if I turn in a report, but I turned it off so nobody'd see me sitting out here. But I'll turn around here again so you can see. I don't know if you can see it right over the top of that tin building, and that's actually the top of a building. You can see way off in the distance. And then out here to the northwest, the sun has come out and is really heating up the atmosphere out here. So, like I said, we can see 25, 30 miles out through there. And I love this kind of area where you can get up on a hill and get away from that pole where we can see that rainbow a little bit better. But in the direction that rainbow is a huge storm coming up that's tornado warned. And oh wow. So that's one side of that rainbow. Let me show you what I just noticed so follow the rainbow all the way around, and then you get to the other side of it right there at the bottom left of the live stream. I gotta be careful on this road. But I'm trying to do a 360 to show you what all we can see around us here. But we can see way off in the distance. And we've got a huge storm down to the south, but everybody's down there. Based on the red dots we saw, there's probably 100 chasers down that way. And they've been flying by here. They haven't seen us over here. We can see them. They've been flying by like, of course, speed limit out here is 75. I can't say anything about them speeding, but there's so many of them out there, they're just driving too fast for that many cars. So we got one storm down that way. Yep, so far we're doing good today. But we're prepared to zap them if they stick their head up. Yeah, we've got a storm coming up from the south. We're up here on the hill. We're going to see the entire structure. What she's talking about is sometimes we get these teenage kids on here that just start talking smack, and we have to end up smacking them off the chat. Yep, we're expecting one. That's why we're sitting up here. I mean, the sun is really coming out, and I'm not sure exactly. I'm sitting here looking at the radar, so we've got storms all around us. And like I said, rainbows are nice to look at, but for us storm chasers, they're great because that means there's more instability and there's a lot of ice. And if there's ice, that means these cloud tops are really, really high. And I can't thank this rancher more for letting us set up here on this little plateau and be able, because when this storm comes up from the south, it's going to go just to the opposite of where we're pointing right now. We can see about 30 miles across there, and we're in a good spot because we can either go north, south, east, west, at all kind of angles to get to the next little town to be able to, if it's going to drop a tornado, we can get to it. But this is Texas sunset out here, and we went live. I think we're supposed to went live at 5, but the problem was trying to get in location, and you don't get anywhere in Texas in a hurry, because while two towns look like they're close on the map, they could be 100 miles apart. Texas is one big state. I don't know how high we are. There should be something here on my GPS that tells us how high we are. I think we're up pretty high, though. Now, let's see. I got it on my phone. We're pretty high. I'm interested, now that you mentioned that, I'm kind of interested in just how high we are. So I do know we're in King County, Texas. Uh, Probably the closest town to us. So this is kind of deja vu. So this is actually where the tornado started that went into Seymour and Mundy, Texas here a few weeks ago. We were out here and got caught in the middle of it. It was also dropping baseball-sized hail out here. The rancher asked me what would be considered gorilla hail, and I said baseball size or bigger. I know Snyder is to the south, Knox City is out here, Benjamin's out this way, but understand that we're talking about 20 miles to 30 miles between these little communities. And just because they got names don't mean they even got a gas station or a place to eat. If you haven't noticed that rainbow has been moving from right to left because that big storm is getting ready to come in here behind us. And the closer it gets, the more that the rainbow is going to move, because it's just refraction off the ice crystals and water and atmosphere. Let's see if I can show you what's coming. So that's how dark it is coming at us, and we should have some lightning coming here in a minute. I hate to drive too much further because it's going to get really slick out here. And we got some good lightning strikes the other day coming through Oklahoma. A TV station antenna must have been 500 feet or more, and two other antennas constantly getting hit by lightning, and we caught it on video. We got to get it downloaded so we can post it. I'm surprised it didn't blow the transmitters totally up as many times they got hit. I don't know about a pot of gold. I'd settle for a tornado. Down this weather. So 1 minute we look at the radar and there's not much there. Next minute we look at the radar, I mean just in 5 or 10 minutes, we have little supercells popping up everywhere. I'm gonna show you just how many storm chasers are out here. Circle, if I can get it right there, is us. And look at all those little red dots down south of us. And over to the west. There's got to be at least 100 or more down there. And it's going to be very hard to see any kind of a tornado down there. Number one, with that many people, you can't move fast enough to reposition. And as that storm gets close, out in the direction that we're pointed is the dry line. Out in the direction that we're pointed is the dry line. And it's probably about 30 miles out there, give or take 40. To the right of the camera is the stationary front, and they're all firing up either right at the stationary front out to the west or right below the stationary front where we're sitting at. And I think we're in the best position over the next 2 hours to really catch something. And I really like the view we got here if something does come through. And the fact that we've got so many ways out of here if we had to get out of here. I'm just grateful the rancher let us sit here for a minute up on this little plateau where we could see all the way around. Let's see. I got to be careful. This parking lot is very, very slippery, but I can turn just a bit. Right there's the direction that supercell is in. Kind of see it down at the tree line or at the horizon. So we got a few minutes. I'm going to flip back around and show you just how much this rainbow keeps changing on us. Now you can only see a little bit of it. That's what's left of that rainbow that used to be a full half circle. And when it goes in a minute, that means everything's moving in on top of us. I tell you, we got some horses sitting over here. They must be used to this. I think I'd found a place and got out of the rain. Well, there's two of them. It's actually three or four of them over there. I assume those are going to be quarter horses, but they do. I used to break Mustangs. One other thing y'all probably didn't know about me. Until I broke my nose 3 times and had to get it operated on. But I used to break Mustangs, and out here in the West, Mustangs are considered extremely good, hardy horses. But over in Tennessee, where I had them, they considered them kind of trash horses. But Mustangs are some of the smartest horses you've ever seen. Very intelligent. And if you can train one and break them, and you almost got a friend for life. And a very smart horse. And to me, they're more hardier than quarter horses. I mean, the Mustangs that I had actually came out of northern Nevada from a wild horse herd through the Bureau of Land Management. And sometimes they wasn't the easiest to train. By the way, I don't abuse horses, so don't think they got trained because they got abused. Uh, it's a trust matter with horses. You just got to show them who's in charge. Humane way of doing it. I didn't use any bad techniques at all. Actually, what I ended up doing was laying on them until they went to sleep, because that's how a horse shows dominance over another horse. They take them down to the ground, and then they lay on top of them to let them know I win and that I'm the dominant horse in the herd. And that's what I did. I was able to flip them over, use a technique to flip them over where they laid down on the ground, and then I laid on top of their neck and head, just like a dominant horse would. And if that first time didn't work, I did it a couple more times. But yep, Mustangs are very, very hardy horses. I've got Tennessee Walkers now, but yeah, that almost gone. That storm's coming in on us now. But these are probably quarter horses out here. Looks like it anyway. They've got pretty wide rumps. So let's see if I'm gonna rotate around one more time so I can get a better view. That storm's gonna come up behind us here. And it is getting really, really, really dark. So the sun is almost hidden now out there behind these clouds, and this is the storm that's coming in right here. I'm in Tennessee. I live a little bit south of Nashville. Not much. I used to be in the country, but they're building so many subdivisions out there now. May end up in Chattanooga if they keep pushing me out of Nashville. See if I can get you a better view of this up here. This storm coming in is going to be pretty intense when it gets here, based on the amount of lightning that. A lot of people don't know I used to break horses. They said there ain't no way. And I said, yeah, there is a way. I'm just glad the only thing I broke was my nose. I heard y'all getting some storms over your way. Somebody was telling me there was a couple of supercells over there, and they may put a tornado warning on them in Mississippi. There's some crazy weather this last couple of weeks. We've had severe weather spread out as much as 1,000 miles apart with tornado warnings on them. Let's see if I can. We were at the Rolling Fork tornado. We actually was up on, I want to say it was 82, that run from Greenwood to Winona. We wasn't actually in Rolling Fork, but we had just filmed one in Greenville. And then when we went through Greenwood, headed over to Winona, a lot of people don't know, but the one that went through Rolling Fork occluded after it passed Silver City, and then formed a new tornado off to the north. And that tornado, by the time we got to Winona, it was coming into Winona, and we had to end up stopping in the middle of the highway because there was so much debris going across the road. It was that storm that caused me to put several different light bars on the front of this chase vehicle. We've got a 22-inch white light bar, which is absolutely useless, we found out. And then we've light. It gives us at least enough view of the road, even in pouring rain, that we can see at least 75 to 100 feet in front of us. In the Rolling Fork one in Winona, the problem we had is we had nothing that would show us that we had debris flying through the air, and that's what the white light's going to be good for, is shooting up into the sky and reflecting off anything, debris that's being blown around. That was a pretty intense night. Just goes to show you, though, you can't just hear the sirens and watch TV. You need to be aware of where that tornado's at. All those people in Rolling Fork had to do was drive 2 miles south, and they would have been out of the direct path of that. Instead, I think there was 28 killed. I forget how many in. They're almost sure that's car rotating around at about 500 feet up in that tornado. Really? I thought they out of Louisiana when they got on the ground, taping it for 20 minutes before it hit that town. But I don't know how many times we saw tornadoes on the ground. We're filming them, and we've had to call the weather service and let them know that we're filming them, to get them to even turn the sirens on. I mean, we even had that happen in Nashville not long ago. So here's that storm coming in. I had to call them from standing in the middle of the highway just south of Franklin in Franklin, Tennessee, just south of Nashville in Franklin, Tennessee, looking at it, filming the lowering with the funnel cloud sticking out of it until they finally turned the sirens on. They said, we can't confirm it's close enough to the ground or that there's multiple rotations. We can't warn now. So the definition of a tornado warning is you've got to have rotation in the atmosphere at two different levels for at least 10 minutes before they can issue a tornado warning. I would hope that some of the weather stations have some discretion with that, because tornadoes form sometimes so. We're in an area in Mundy, Texas. I'm driving through Mundy, Texas. We got 80-mile-an-hour winds. We've got stuff being blown all over the place. Transformers exploded right behind us as we pulled out of an intersection. And I get on the phone with the weather service, and the only thing I got was, you need to get out of that town. There's a tornado headed for it. And no sirens ever got turned on. We went back 4 days later, and somebody saw our car and said, don't tell us we got bad weather coming again. And I said, how much notice did y'all get? They said, we didn't get any notice. They never turned sirens on. Almost every building in that little small town was damaged to some degree. I don't think there was any injuries. 2 cell phone towers came down. It's crazy because we filmed them. We looked back at our video. They were up when we came into that town. Went north to look at one storm and ended up having to turn around and leave because another storm came in behind us. And when they told us to get out of that town, a tornado was coming. They told us that on the phone, but yet they didn't put the warning out to the town and turn the sirens on. And when we went back through there, somebody might have been watching our video, but they said we heard somebody call the weather service and told them to turn the sirens on to put the warning out. And I said, well, I was one of them, but they never put any warnings out. So, and I don't know about Rolling Fork. I'm interested now. I have to look. After 2011's outbreak, Mississippi and Alabama put in a bunch of community tornado shelters. Glad to see everybody's joining us. Dallas, you're going to get some of this today if you hadn't already. We will actually be down in Dallas all the way over to Amarillo tomorrow because the severe weather is going to move down in that direction. So we'll actually be in Dallas, Amarillo, San Angelo area tomorrow. We are way up. I'm going to see. I don't know if you can see. If you look down at the horizon above that tractor, orange tractor, you're going to see some huge amounts of lightning and lightning bolts. I tell you, if I lived out here, I'd have to come up to this spot every time storms come through. This has just got a great view. Two a.m. Storms the last couple of nights hasn't occurred during the daytime. Actually, night before last, they didn't start up in the Oklahoma City area until after midnight, and then they got very intense. We were chasing storms last night to about 2 a.m. this morning, and they were more intense between 10 and 2 than they were between 5 and 8. You know, this is nice being out here and seeing as far as you can see. But I think if I lived out here and it got to be routine, I don't know if I could live here. There's just not a lot out here. If you're not ranching or drilling for oil, there's not much out here. And some of y'all know I'm originally from Pensacola. So you said you moved out of Florida and won't go back. I'll tell everybody it's a great place to visit. I think everybody ought to go and visit. I miss the scuba diving. I miss the fishing. I don't miss the heat. I don't miss the humidity. Everybody thinks I left Florida for the hurricanes, but I was an EMS director. That's the only time we had something to do is when a hurricane come through, but we knew they were coming 2 weeks in advance and had everybody in a safe place 24 hours before it got there. Except for the structural damage, we hardly ever, I can't even remember losing life up in the Panhandle while I was there. We just, very good emergency management that we had. You're looking southwest. Over to the right is a little bit to the right, and 70 miles out is Lubbock. We're looking to the southwest. This storm is coming in from the southwest. And then we've got several more coming in behind it. And 100 storm chasers down there, and the roads are just clogged with people. So we don't want to get in the middle of that. And if need be, we could go north, but we're in the triple point, about 40 miles to the northwest of us. And all these are firing right here between the dry line and the stationary front. And the tornado watch that they put out, because they told us about this like 1 o'clock this afternoon, is an extremely small area of about 75 miles in all directions from where we're sitting. Straight out in front of there, when you can see, and it's getting closer to the, coming from the left of the live stream, you'll see even more. We got huge cloud to ground lightning and spiderweb lightning going on. Let me see if I can't back up and give y'all a better view. The rancher said we could stay here, but there's a driveway that comes in to this parking lot area here, and it's padlocked, so he said he's going to be here for a while, so we ain't got to worry about getting locked out. But I'm going to back up a little bit so you can actually see those hills. We got some small hills, but we're up on a plateau. But I want to get you a look off to the south. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I got to be careful I don't get stuck. But I think I can get you a better view of this. So this is what's coming at us. And you'll see it here in a minute. Maybe if I get a little more, yeah. Welcome aboard, UK. You know, other than the United States, the two second or three most popular sites to view us is Brazil, Europe, UK, and India. You can see that storm coming in from behind us here. And I'll bet you, based on how high we're up, that storm's probably still, let's see. I'm just guessing, but it's coming in from the southwest. It's probably 30 miles out there. All that lightning you can see. If this was nighttime, like I said, I got an hour and a half of good lightning last night on the backside of a supercell up in Wichita Falls, and I'm going to put that together. May try to add some nice rain background noise and post it just for, everybody says it puts them to sleep, so I'm going to post something that they can use to put them to sleep. As it gets closer, this whole sky is going to light up with that lightning. I think this storm's going to have spiderweb lightning all across the sky when it gets closer. See, right now it's not even in really the warned area. Just looking down, but I mean, they put the tornado watch area so small, but as they enter this area of instability, they really start firing up. Okay, they put a severe thunderstorm warning on this storm coming in now. As it gets closer, I'll get back over on the other side of the parking lot because it's going to go just to the west of our location. And we're trying to watch for circulation in it. So far we haven't seen any. But it's got some hail in it. I'm still trying to find out what our elevation is here because we're up on a plateau. And we came up a long grade and got up on this hill. And the rancher wasn't here at that time. I was afraid to trespass, but when he did get here, he allowed us to come into the gate and up on this flat part where he's got his barn and his equipment. If you really want to know specifically where we're at, we're near the QB Ranch in Texas, near Knox City, between Knox City and Guthrie, Texas. We're at the QB Ranch, and it's supposed to be some kind of big tourist thing here. I'm trying to find out. Maybe that's why he let us stay. I'll tell you what, they better get out of that One of the other chasers almost got hit by lightning just now. They better get out of that. Yep, so this may actually be the QB Ranch, and I'm up at one of their remote locations up here on this plateau. But it's, if you want to Google it, it's the QB Ranch in King County, Texas, is where we're sitting at. So according to the information I found on this ranch, it's supposed to be over 12,000 acres. Man, they better get out of that. No, I take that back. The QB Ranch is 22,000 acres. And it's also considered a wildlife refuge. There's a lightning on that side yet.
It's starting to go to the right there.
Yep. Alright. Yep. Y'all need to. We're going to get you over here where you can see the storm from a plateau in Texas. And now that I found out we're in King County, Texas, seems like there's something I ought to know about this, and I can't remember what it is now. There you go. Now we're looking to the southwest again. This is the direction that storm's coming in at. Man, I tell you what, I gotta be careful. I got ruts. This little car put ruts in this driveway here. I gotta be careful. But I want to get y'all up here where you can see this storm and the associated lightning. Anyway, if you're just joining us, we're in central West Texas, 60 miles due east of Lubbock, Texas. West of Wichita Falls. And apparently this ranch we're sitting at's got, man, I can tell you, this storm is so big, part of it's going to come right over the top of us. And this is going to be a big electric storm. What you've seen so far is just the beginning. I can see off in the distance to the left of the live stream. This is going to be a very intense storm when it gets here. Back up again. When this storm gets closer and gets where it's almost over our head, I'm going to have to back up so y'all can see all this. Um,
Get close to that gate, you can see his backside over here. No, sir, we need to go. Yes, sir, I didn't know he was here. Everyone watching? Yeah, but if you want to, you can get close to that gate. It's pretty far ground up there. Don't get too close to the head over there.
okay.
Or you get back up to the front like I just did. You go to that gate.
Okay, I'll do that. I got over there.
Oh, yeah, he's over there.
Yeah, all right.
Holly, you got all kind of cameras in that stuff here.
We got 3 radars going. I got 6 cameras, 3 GoPros, 3 4K.
I like that. I like the way you got your little deal. You can break your window.
Let me tell you, that thing's cheap.
It's 30.
And I put this particular one. I put 2 of them on it. And on my other car, I had 3 small ones. In Florida, I turned out the other. But at least I took the plans and loaded 3 cars behind me.
Yeah, but once you do, you can scoot up there and you
Okay.
can see that corner on back end.
Well, I appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Y'all be
Hey.
safe. Y'all be careful.
Hey, you got a car already?
No, sir. We're just a
Well,
QB
you got
friend.
mine.
Yeah.
Is,
If anybody pulls out, tell them BJ.
what is this ranch?
The QB ranch.
That's what I thought. It's like 22,000 acres.
Yes, sir. We're buying more land. We bought more land.
Is it like y'all keeping it not just
We got
cattle? You got
cattle.
refuge?
We got horses. We got stags. We got buffalo.
What do you got up there? Quarter horse?
Oh, those are our saddle horses.
Quarter horse?
It's regular old
Yeah, I used to break. I was just telling them I used to break Mustang.
I just put 15 studs in this place, but they can go from here into the big mountain. They can go backside.
Wait, together?
Yeah, 15
Oh, I
studs.
could have never made myself. Yeah, that's right.
They'll get tired of fighting each other. Then we
But
got
you know, horses won't kill each other. That's just
Yeah, they
life.
will.
Oh, will it?
Sir, I had a stud come up dead the other day.
Oh, no.
And I forgot all about it. I had King over there, and King, I found him dead yesterday. Yeah, then we got a rock crusher, too, that titanium up the road. That's ours, too.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I used to break Mustangs. I broke my nose.
Yeah.
That was the only surgery I ever had. They had to go in there and fix it.
In North Flat Top, what I got 52 mayors, and they all should be pregnant and having babies already.
So, the horse business good out here?
My boss man, he takes me down. He got a horse farm in Dallas.
I was about to say, Tennessee, the horse market is flat.
Yeah, and if you sell them around here, you just can get regular old farm horses, roping, all that.
What's that white thing out there?
That's our QB sign.
Oh,
Our sign to our QB. Because our headquarters is still probably like another 15 miles, 20 miles back.
how many head of cows?
A lot.
A lot.
And this is all ours, and it goes probably like another 10 miles back.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and we just bought this Rocky King.
So how high
outfit.
up are we here? I was trying to find out what
I
they
have no idea. If it wasn't so muddy, I can just. We got a road on top of those mountains up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we have stuff rock up there.
Well, I tell you what, you email me your contact information. I want to come back and talk to you.
Yes, sir.
I'm not out here doing it.
All right, then I'm gonna let you get out of
All
here.
right, thank
yes,
you.
Sir, y'all be careful.
Wow. That was the ranch manager. This is absolutely the QB ranch. They got 22,000 acres. It's 10 miles in each direction. They've even got their own rock crusher to make their own roads out here. And on top of ranching, and he don't even know how many head of cattle they got, they're raising horses. He said I can make it over here, so I'm gonna try it. Worst thing I can do is get caught, and all right. So I don't know if y'all heard me talking to that gentleman, but that was the ranch manager for this. This is absolutely the QB Ranch. He told me it's over 22,000 acres, and they're buying more land. And to get that much land, it's about 10 miles in every direction is what they own. They have no idea how many head of cattle they got, but they're also raising horses out here, and then he carries them into Dallas to sell them. And these are quarter horses. I've got to come back here. He told me if it wasn't raining, and unfortunately it's always raining when we're storm chasing, there's a road over the top of those mountains that you saw in that other direction to the west, and he would have let us drive up there and get on top of that mountain. But he said you better bring a four-wheel drive truck or Jeep if you're going to go up there when it's raining. So we won't be able to do that in this vehicle today. But that's pretty cool. See, this is the kind of stuff we run into. Everybody wonders, just what do you do when you're storm chasing? I meet some of the nicest people. We run into, and they're very friendly out here. I'm going to try to back up. I think I can get you better views on the other side of this building. It's just that we lost our cell coverage on that side, and I don't know if I can stay on that side and get y'all a good view at the same time of the storm coming in. But that was pretty cool. So we learned things like that, how big this ranch is, meet nice people. I'm going to try to get this where the chat doesn't. And find out things we never would have known. I knew when I heard King County, Texas, that we were in a special county, but I couldn't remember what was special about it. I'm afraid I don't have 22,000 acres back in Tennessee. Well, it's getting dark quick. Out behind us, it's not that dark. It's getting dark because the storm is coming in on us. Because it generally won't get dark out here for another 45 minutes or more. I'm going to try to back up here without getting stuck. He said it's pretty hard ground out this way. Not where I was before.
No.
But we're going to try to get you a better view of this. When I got over by that gate, I lost my cell coverage. So, being this far out, I'm surprised I got any cell coverage. Back over here. When this comes through, if it starts raining too hard, I'm going to have to get up this driveway back closer to the asphalt.
Yeah, this is about where we were before.
So we're going to try to get you a better view here. It's funny, you're a nurse. I work in the intensive care unit when I'm not out storm chasing. Up in Nashville, Tennessee. They don't consider you old anymore until after 75. Where'd all my lightning go?
It stopped.
It's not off to the right, is it?
Mm-mm.
God, everybody's still down here. Why are they still down there?
It's in front of us, but it's never happened before.
Actually, I'm not a nurse. I'm a cardiac technologist. I read and interpret the EKGs and recommend and give the providers an idea of whether it's cardiac related, what's going on, or medically related. Because a lot of people don't know that you can, just by reading the EKG, I can tell them probably what lab work is messed up. In other words, they have low magnesium, low sodium, calcium. So, and I can immediately identify an MI, patient having an MI. But first thing they got to know is it medical or cardiac related? If it's cardiac related, what do I think's going on? And if it's medical related, I kind of recommend lab work to be pulled, certain lab work, so they'll know what's causing that particular cardiac rhythm. You'd be surprised what you can learn from an EKG that most people, and doctors have so much they have to learn and study and be on top of. They can't necessarily be a cardiologist, a urologist, and everything else. So that's what I do. I monitor all the EKGs, interpret them, and recommend lab work or a course of treatment. Uh, COVID was bad enough for all of us. I don't know if I could work in resus. Now which direction is that coming from?
It's coming from in front of us and from behind us at about 4 o'clock.
I think this might be a good view too. You can see how much light we've still got if the clouds wasn't here up over that horizon. So again, for the new people joining, we're 60 miles east of Lubbock, Texas. We're sitting in the middle of QB Ranch, which I didn't know until just I looked it up, and then the ranch manager told me that indeed this is QB Ranch. 22,000 plus acres, and they're buying more land every week. Mostly cattle, but they also raise horses. Whoa! This might be a little bit better position. Well, that's true. I used to be a critical care paramedic before I moved back in to the hospital, and did a lot of flying, helicopter, and ground transport, hospital to hospital on the acute patients. But I remember two of the nurses, new nurses, said, "Oh my God, I'm getting a vent patient." And I said, "Best patient you'll ever have is a vent patient. And we can get them out of the hospital faster if they allow us to put them on a ventilator." And the young nurses have to learn that the older people that come in, they grew up thinking if you get put on a ventilator, you're not coming out of the hospital, and that is not the case anymore. Best thing we can do is put you on a ventilator, reduce your stress, get you better, and then get you off of it and send you home. But anyway, this QB ranch we're sitting in the middle of out here in King County, Texas, and we're up on a plateau. The ranch manager and all and owner was kind enough to let us sit here. But we're up on kind of a plateau. You can't see it now. Those that come on earlier could. But we can see probably about 25 miles out across the plains out there. We're in the Great Plains Basin, I believe is what they call this area. And but that's cool. We're sitting here in the middle of QB Ranch. I got to come back, especially since he invited us to come back and talk to them, and they'll let us drive up on those mountains out on the ones you can see at the bottom on the horizon. Let's see if I can do this. So those mountains right in front of us, just below that light area, there's a road that goes across there. He said we can come back and drive across that and get even a better view. So I never turned down an invitation. And like I said, when we're out here storm chasing, we meet some of the nicest people. Here, maybe I'll leave that off so the lighting will look a little bit better. Anytime we broke down or I've had to be on the side of the road changing out a wheel bearing or whatever it might be, never fails somebody stops and asks if they can help. Yeah, this is really, I wish it was still light and you could see just how far we can see out here. Because I bet we can see 25 or 30 miles across the plains. And we're up on a plateau, and believe it or not, the little hills in front of us are even higher than we are. But we're in the middle of a place I've never heard of until today, QB Ranch in King County, Texas. 22,000 acres of a ranch. They also use it as a animal sanctuary on top of being a ranch, and they breed horses and cattle. They don't even know how many cattle they got. They said they all had babies this year and they haven't counted them all. Where's that at? Is he back up there? Yeah, he's up there. So we've got, I like coming out here and visiting. I don't know if I could live out here full time. Doesn't look like the most hopping place, but I'd certainly like to bring my horses over here and go riding.
That would be fun.
Because I don't know if my Tennessee walkers could handle a 50-mile ride. I've took them on a 25-mile ride, but I don't know if they can handle a 50-mile ride or so. So what you're looking at there is this storm, the supercell type storm, is the darker cloud that has a shelf cloud on it. The other cloud in the background is to be honest with you, I'm not sure exactly what that is because that shouldn't be there. But I would probably think that was way off in the distance and probably part of the sunset, as is the lighter areas there underneath that shelf cloud. Because we have storms all the way around us coming in here right now. But that, I'm going to leave it right here because we got plenty of time to see lightning tonight. But that is pretty nice right there from our standpoint. And like I said, they were nice enough to let us sit here at this ranch. We're actually inside a gated area, but I didn't want to come in until I got permission from somebody. But I could spend a little time out here. I don't know what El Paso looks like. Last time I was in Midland, Texas, I said, well, maybe I'll drive over to El Paso. Oh no, El Paso's 300 miles from Midland, Texas. This is a big state. You think when you get to Midland, you're almost to the other side, but no. You got 300 more miles to get to El Paso. I said, well, maybe we won't hop over there. That's not a couple-hour trip over and back. But I'm not holding a picture up in front of the camera. That is actually what we're looking at right there here in Texas. And I've got some shots of Oklahoma out into the west, Oklahoma in the Panhandle, that's just as nice or even better, being up on some of those plateaus and watching those big supercells come across the plains. Looks like a storm coming up. We've had a couple of storms today. This one is actually supposed to be severe warning that's coming in. And they're going to be firing off all night. These have been nocturnal storms for 3 days now. And I'm not sure why the atmosphere is so unstable, even at 10, 11, 12 o'clock. Oklahoma City the other night, it didn't blow up east of Oklahoma City until after midnight. And then they had tornado warnings, severe thunderstorms. Where's Clare County? Ireland. Cool. Our family tree goes back to Ireland. Two brothers came over here from Ireland a few hundred years ago. I don't speak Irish, but I do speak good Southern English. Oh, whoa. Yeah, please subscribe. If you're on here and haven't subscribed, subscribe. We got a bunch of videos we haven't posted from this last 6 weeks of storm chasing. A couple of them, at least one, we had a narrow miss. Actually, down in this area, in Mundy and Seymour, Texas. I don't know. We were worried whether or not we were going to be able to get out of that one. But we haven't posted it yet because we hadn't had time, and the live stream only picked up, you know, the Category 3 hurricane we were driving through in the middle of Texas. That is a really good shot of that shelf cloud right there. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, ring the bell. We're going to be going live. I've got another week we're going to be out here and be on top of these storms. Tomorrow we'll be down in Abilene and Big Spring, Texas. And you'll get notified when we go live. You'll also get notified if you ring the bell of when we post these new videos. We did capture several tornadoes last weekend. One last Friday in Illinois, in the United States, was a EF4 that was a mile wide, and it's out there. We posted a little bit of it, but we have a lot better tape I looked at, film of that, because we do have cameras on each side of the car, filming as we're driving. So I was able to catch it as we chased it. Then we came up on Creel Springs that it got just devastated by that tornado. Just we probably wasn't 2 minutes behind it hitting that community. And then we got the one in Kansas last Sunday. Uh, Originally, they thought it was going to be 2 miles wide, but they eventually, after they went out and did the survey, it was a mile wide. But that was probably the largest tornado I have ever seen. And lucky, I don't know how that community it hit survived. We called as soon as we could identify the location of it and dialed our emergency services and told them exactly the location to put out the warnings. But not one fatality and not one serious injury in that tornado. When you see pictures of it, you're going to wonder, how could something that big not have any fatalities? Same thing in the one in Illinois. No fatalities, no serious injuries. I think they had 8 minor injuries, but we were right on top of both of those. Yeah, we actually had hail in those tornadoes. We do have a lot of hail so far today. We've only seen like pea size, but there's supposed to be 2 to 3 inch hail coming in with some of these storms this evening. All right, I just got a report here. We've actually got about 10 miles north of here, they've already had power lines go down from the earlier storm that came through. I hate to leave this location. We're going to be here probably another 15-20 minutes, and then we may have to move off in the direction of these storms as they move more to the northeast. But this is such a great location. I'll have to remember this. That is such a defined wall cloud there, which is what we generally look for in a storm like this. And generally, if this is a supercell storm with the sunny in the middle of it, you see that U shape like a horseshoe, you'd find the tornado just on the right of it, outside of the rain shaft. This is the weirdest formation I've ever seen in the middle of the supercell like that. The only thing I can think of is that's clouds off in the distance, way, way off, as the sun sets behind them. But this is absolutely a great shot. So we're, for everybody joining, I see we got a bunch of new people on here. Be sure to subscribe. We're 60 miles east of Lubbock, Texas, and we're about 100 miles west of Wichita Falls, Texas. And we're sitting in the middle of a place called the QB Ranch in King County, Texas. 22,000 acres of ranch land that's also used as an animal sanctuary, and apparently they said a huge ranch we're in the middle of. And actually, on that little piece of light you can see on the right, you'll see a hill right there. They said if we wanted to come back sometime and had a vehicle that could make it, there's a road across that hill. We're on a plateau way above, I don't even know what the elevation is here, and he didn't either. But they're going to let us go up there on top of that hill where that road is the next time we come out. See you later, Sarah. Thanks for joining us. So if you ever heard of King County, Texas and the QB Ranch, that's where we're sitting right in the middle of. Apparently this ranch is so big, it goes out 10 miles in all directions around us. It's over 22,000 acres. That's a big ranch. Thanks, Sarah. Stop back in. Be sure to ring the bell and come back tomorrow if you're off. We've been setting up here. We ran through 2 or 3 today, and you can see that defined wall cloud in front of us, and I just don't know what those clouds are in the back of it. It must be clouds way off, though, is all I can figure. We got a bunch of lightning headed in here on us. Let me see, is there another? We also got flash flood warnings, and for this to be out in the middle of a desert-like area, there's some low places that floods really fast out here. We're not far from Mundy, Texas. Mundy and Seymour got hit by a tornado about 3 weeks ago, and we were out there filming the supercell, and then another one formed behind us and cut off our escape route. And next thing we knew, we were getting hit by 80, 90 mile an hour winds. And I'm going to turn here so you can see this lightning. We've got some lightning coming in on us. Which direction would be best to point?
According to my device and my current location, our elevation is 1,633 feet.
Okay, so now we know we're 1,633 feet above sea level. Trying to find out. Man, this storm coming up from the south. I'm trying to figure the best direction to point to get you the best shot of this. So we got spider lightning. Okay, I think I need to turn around. That's what I need to do. I hope I don't get stuck out here in this mud. Maybe a ranch, but this ain't a ranch vehicle I'm on. Cut the light so you can see the lightning a little bit better. So this is West Texas, Great Plains. We're right in the middle of the QB Ranch. You can Google it to find out about the QB Ranch. I think you ought to. I'd never even heard of it until today. But we're right in the middle of the QB Ranch, 22,000 acres. That's an active ranch for cattle and horses. And then it's also a animal refuge. And so that's pretty cool. And we're up on a plateau. So if it was daytime and you could see, if you're just joining, you can see about 30 miles around where we're sitting at up on this hill. And we've been watching these storms come in around us and trying to figure out which one may be the best to try to get on for a tornado. But I'm going to tell you, the view up here and what we've been able to film has almost been better than a tornado. If you want to see a tornado, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Go look at the tornado. We caught the one last Friday in southern Illinois in the United States. And was right on top of that one. And then Sunday, we barely were able to get around it. It probably crossed 3 miles behind us, but I need to get on the south side of it so we could see it. It was over a mile wide, and it was probably the largest tornado I have ever seen. On top of that, it had a satellite tornado, and when you see the picture and you see this little dot at the bottom on the ground, that's a huge grain bin, and that'll put the rest of the tornado in perspective for you. That was a huge tornado, big wedge, and everything black on the ground behind it. Somebody said, well, where's the tornado at? I said, everything black behind that big grain bin is the tornado. I said it was over a mile wide. I don't know how it didn't, when it hit that community, it didn't up in Kansas. We were in Kansas. No fatalities, no serious injuries. I'm just shocked. Okay, this lightning in front of us is a little thunderstorm cell coming through. I don't know if it's a full supercell or not, but it's getting there. All of them are forming right here just south of our location and moving to the northeast. Subscribe and go back and look at the videos that we post. In Killeen, Texas, we got a lightning strike, and we're not even sure what it hit, but it exploded when the lightning back in slow motion. Up here where y'all can see a little bit better. This storm in front of us. So we're in definitely West Texas. Well, West Texas in the Panhandle. Here's a gate we had to go through. We were afraid they might lock us in. And I hate to leave that. I wish it was still daytime. Y'all could see what we were seeing at that location. Trying to find the best way to get me a route to Throckmorton. Where's my phone?
Actions.
Tell you, there may be flooding down there.
That's the most direct route right there.
Got to go to Monday.
Yes.
So if you're just joining us, we're 60 miles west, 60 or 70 miles west, due east of Lubbock, Texas. We're in King County, Texas. We're sitting in the middle of the QB Ranch, which is supposed to be a 22,000 acre ranch, and they were nice enough to let us sit on their little plateau back there and film for a little while so we could see these storms coming in. If you're not familiar with QB Ranch, I wasn't either, but you can certainly Google it. You probably should. Apparently they allow tourists here, and I assume you can ride the horses. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look at it a little bit more, but apparently from where we're sitting, this ranch is so big, it's 10 miles in every direction around us. So we're getting ready to head down here to this storm.
Should I hit start?
Hold on.
You got the same route I did.
Bear with me, we're trying to get our bearings here so we can get back in front of this thunderstorm. Oh, how far are we from Monday?
From Monday? Right there.
All right, guys, we're headed this big storm down here. I'll have to come back and visit this ranch. So we're headed to Mundy, Texas, and we're going to get in front of this big line of storms. We've had straight line winds apparently to the north. It's took down some power poles. You're going to get to see some real good lightning here as we move towards these storms.
Monday is right here.
Go back and subscribe, and tomorrow or sometime go back and look at those two tornadoes we filmed last weekend. The first one in Illinois, state of Illinois in the United States, was an EF4, and it was a mile wide. And then the one in Kansas last Sunday evening, we barely got in front of it. Whoa! Y'all going to get to see some really good lightning out here. The one we filmed Sunday evening about 11:30, and unfortunately it hit a small community. That one was over a mile wide too. That was the largest tornado I think I've ever filmed. Going to Mundy, Texas. Mundy, Texas, if you have been watching our channel the last few weeks at least, was where we got caught in that big supercell. Two big supercells collided, cut off our southern escape route, had all the storm chasers that was in that area scrambling to get out of its way. The Weather Service officially listed as 107 mile an hour winds, straight line winds. Plus there was two tornadoes wrapped up inside of them. And of all the tense moments we've had over the years, I think that was in the top 5. Those storms were dropping 5-inch hail just out to our west before they got to us. Well, I think the reason, I tell you, to be honest, now that you've got so many people out there chasing these storms and videotaping them, and that's only been, you know, since about 2000, maybe 1995 or 96, after the Twisters maybe come out. Before then, there wasn't a lot of people out there. So if a tornado is seen, I mean, we've seen a mile-wide tornado and filmed it. However, since it didn't hit anything, it never got counted. So the only ones, they say there's 1,400 tornadoes a year. That's the ones that they were able to go in and evaluate the damage and give them a rating. Chasers will tell you that there's probably a few thousand more that we see or we film out in the prairie area that if they don't hit anything, they don't get counted. Tornado is rated by the damage it causes on structures, not on how big it is or how fast the winds are. So I think, you know, I mean, if you go back and look at the one I filmed last April in Iowa, it was huge. And we've got 45 minutes of that tornado occluding, reforming, occluding, reforming. Did that at least 3 times, maybe 4. We got all the streamwise horizontal circulation feeding from the front of the storm back into the back, which is one of the ways that they believe now that the big tornadoes are formed. But it never hit anything, so they didn't count it. We send all of our video, by the way. Anything we film that's of relevance, we send to the weather station in the area where we filmed it. And if it's really interesting video, we'll send it to the universities who studying tornado genesis, the experts, and let them have it so they can dissect it and see. And we send it in its raw form. We don't change anything on it, so they can look at it in the raw form of the video. Like I said, we're headed to Mundy, Texas. We just left. I don't even know if there was a name to where we was at, except we were in the middle of King County, Texas, in the middle of a ranch called the QB Ranch, which is 22,000 acres. And like I said, they were nice enough to let us sit up there on that plateau up on the hill.
Ranch is located in Guthrie, Texas.
That's a town close to here, but you got to understand, there ain't no town here closer than 30 miles. That was probably the closest, and I know Guthrie was at least another 15 miles down the road. But with that said, the ranch is so big, the ranch manager told me it goes in 10 miles all the way around the location we were sitting at. That's a big ranch. You want to see scary lightning? Go watch that Broken Bow tornado I filmed in Oklahoma, December of 23. There were so many cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. I mean, within just a few hundred yards before the tornado came through. There were so many lightning flashes I couldn't see the tornado when it come through, but I got it on video. These storms we're driving to should be very intense when we get down here. I mean, you can see the lightning and how much it's producing. Mundy, Texas, that we're headed to, and Seymour, right next to it, is about 100 miles southwest of Wichita Falls in Texas. And tomorrow we'll be live down in, we'll be down in Abilene in Big Springs, Texas. That's where the weather's supposed to be tomorrow.
Someone said you're doing a grand job, Jack.
Now this should be a pretty interesting night with all this lightning and thunderstorms right down here.
That was impressive.
Be sure to subscribe so you can go back and find the Youngstown lightning strike we got a couple of weeks ago in Killeen, Texas. Whatever it hit, it exploded. We think it was a transformer station. It blew the whole station up. Generally, I don't mind lightning because we're sitting on 4 rubber tires, but I did something today I've never done before. Since we were going so far out in West Texas, and we've had at least 1 or 2 incidences where we thought we was gonna run out of gas. So today I put 2 gallons of gas on top of the roof with the spare tires. And the reason I never did that is because I was afraid we'd get hit by lightning and there'd be 2 gallons of gas up there. So now we got 2 gallons of gas up there, and we got a lot of cloud to ground lightning going on, like there. I heard one of the chasers a while ago scream because he almost got hit by one of them. Better get back in your car, guys. So this is kind of deja vu for us going back to Mundy, Texas. Last time we were there, we were in the middle of something really bad, and I was on the phone with weather service out of St. Angelo, and they said, "What town did you say you was in?" And I told them. They said, "You got to get out of there. We're tracking a tornado headed right for that little town. You didn't have to tell me twice. Knox City. So we're going through Knox City, Texas, headed to Mundy, Texas. I wonder if I'll go south here. That gas station looks familiar.
Yeah, it does. You're clear.
Wonder how it's
Still clear.
I think I'm okay with it. Alright, we're gonna change course here. Okay, if I go south from Knox City, where's it gonna take me?
South from Knox City.
Looters? No. Haskell. We're going to Haskell. We're gonna go south. I'm gonna top off with gas so to be sure I don't run out of gas. But that won't take 30-45 seconds, and then we're headed south.
Texas.
headed south to Haskell, Texas now.
Just give me 3 routes.
Nope, I'm going straight south.
Okay.
What do you mean 3 routes? There ain't 3 routes to Haskell. Figure out which one we're on when I go right here.
Okay. We'll do that.
This storm's going to be right in front of us, and it's a huge storm too. This going to take us that way?
Yeah. It was the first one.
We have to gas up because it's so far in between cities out here, and it's getting late at night. Some of them have pumps open even though the store's closed, and others don't. So just can't take a chance to be 30, 40, 50 miles out and not have a full tank of gas. But I got 2 gallons on top. Probably not a good thing with all this lightning out here tonight, but well, good thinking. The reason we never carried gas up there before, and I was reluctant, but I always had a can up there, is I was always afraid of getting the car hit by lightning and us have 2 gallons of gas up there. But after almost running out a couple of times and us being way out here in the west part of Texas Panhandle, not far from New Mexico, I figured I better put 2 gallons up there. So the vehicle we're in that we set up just for storm chasing is a smaller car, so we get, it's very reliable. I mean, we put 45,000 miles on it a year. Every 3 months I go through it and make sure everything's working right. We put 2 full sets of bearings all the way around the car twice every year, sometimes 3, because we're putting so many miles on it. And the water, when it gets up in there and then we drive like we are now, it just ruins the bearings and the tires. But we get pretty good gas mileage, so 2 gallons would get us far enough back we could find somewhere to get gas. I'm not doing that again. It was actually somebody on our live feed that found us a gas station out in West Nebraska a couple of years ago. If it hadn't have been for that, I don't know if we'd have got out of there. When you're in Tennessee and every interstate exit has a gas station, and every little town has a gas station, and then you come out west and you may go 100 miles of interstate off ramps and no gas station, or you're driving out in the country and every little town you go through, they only have one gas station and they closed at 5 in the afternoon. So we don't do that anymore when we can help it. Unfortunately, we're headed into an area where there's about 50, 75, 100 more chasers. I don't know if any of them give up yet, but if you're storm chasing and it's a weekend or a holiday like tomorrow is in the United States, generally they're going to chase as long as they can. So we can probably get 50 miles or more, probably 60 on 2 gallons of gas. just joined us, we're in Texas. We're in King County. Well, we're actually in Knox County, Texas now. We're headed to Haskell, Texas, which is southwest of Wichita Falls, about 120 miles, and probably about 100 miles southeast of Lubbock, Texas. There's not a lot out here. Storms tonight, though. Texas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska lightning ain't like nothing we see back in the east, especially in Tennessee. I think the next little town we come into before we get to Haskell is going to be Rochester, Texas. Hey Brad, welcome aboard. Example, we just went through a little community out here, a gas station, all the lights are out. If we were depending on the gas station at that place, that wasn't gonna happen. And that's the case with most of these small towns out in the middle of Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska. Headed to Haskell, Texas, which is about 100 to 120 miles southwest of Wichita Falls. I'm not sure, but we should be somewhere north of Abilene, but I'm not sure how far north. You ain't seen nothing yet. This is gonna get pretty intense here in a minute. The closer we get to these storms. Yes. have been. This tornado watch they put out today was for such a small area of Texas. They had severe thunderstorm warnings out for a large area, but the tornado watch was for a small area, about a 75-mile radius around where we've been sitting at all day. And they're trying their best. Actually, they're getting worse. The storms are getting worse now than they were at 4 and 5 o'clock. Get in your car and come out west for a week during April, and particularly the first 2 weeks of May. This year is a La Nina year, so most of the storms actually was back in Dixie Alley there for a while. But last year, and while we've got some really good video, even this last week, of several tornadoes, EF4s and EF3s, last year was a much more active year than this has been. I think it was like 1,700 and some tornadoes last year that they actually rated. We actually filmed several tornadoes that didn't get rated because they never hit anything. So if they don't hit anything, they can't rate them. They don't count them, even if you got video of them. That's good, but we can't rate them. They never happen. So storm chasers will tell you that there's probably actually double the amount of tornadoes every year that are actually listed because they don't get rated. I mean, we see a lot of tornadoes out in the middle of nowhere that they're not rated, they're not counted. Whoa! Gonna be a lot of spider web lightning tonight. We wasn't live last night late, but I got an hour and a half of some of the best lightning. Were pretty intense. About like these are tonight, but they were very frequent. Oh my gosh. So I was in my first tornado when I was 6 years old up in Illinois at my uncle's house. They jerked me out of bed in the middle of the night and took me down to the basement, and it took off a piece of the house and about all the trees on the left side of the house. And that was probably my first taste. I really wasn't scared as much as I was confused about what's going on. I'm originally from Pensacola, and we just don't have a lot of tornadoes down there. But if you go back and you want to know how long I've been doing it, I was a paramedic for many, many years, and then I was a county EMS director and sat on the Emergency Management Council for hurricanes down in Florida. So I've always been interested in weather, but hurricanes, believe it or not, wow, it was never as exciting as what we're doing tonight. We knew they were coming 2 weeks in advance. We evacuated everybody before it got there. Everybody was safe. All we had to do was hunker down and wait for the storm to blow over, and it was mostly a wind event. These tornadoes, you never know where they're going to drop. It is always a guess of when they're going to drop and where they're going to drop. Weather Service can give us a specific area they're going to form, but we just never know where they're going to drop at. And I think that is what makes this interesting. It's kind of like a guessing game of picking your target for the day and hoping you're right. I tell you, two toughest things about storm chasing is, number one, all the miles we had to put on the road and deal with other drivers who we're pretty sure have a death wish and want to take us with them, particularly on the interstate. The other one is, and especially for those of y'all who were watching last Sunday when we filmed that mile-wide tornado in Kansas, there's a long ways in between pit stops. But I wasn't going to miss that shot for nothing if I had to clean my seat up the next day. So, that's the two toughest things about storm chasing. Dealing with other drivers when you're putting 500 miles on the road a day and hope you survive normal traffic. That's going to get us before a tornado will, I think. And, okay. The city is kind of flooded here. And the other one is, when you got a chance to go, you better go. I thought it was bad when I was a paramedic and we couldn't go if we were busy between emergency calls, but I'll tell you, this storm chasing, when you ain't got a place to stop for many, many, many miles,
Clear.
you go when you can and hope.
Take a left. Still clear.
And hope that you find another place in about 100 miles.
This is Monday we're driving.
Right here?
Yes.
What was that road we was just on?
That was Route 6.
Well, then this is 277 right up here.
This is 386 that we're on
It's got to be 222.
now. 380.
380.
We're on Highway 380.
Going to Haskell.
Going to Throckmorton.
Oh, I want to go to Haskell. What happened to Haskell? It's supposed to be going south.
9.1 miles to Haskell.
Oh. Okay. We're going down here somewhere. Find me a place down here. So I don't know if that answered your question about how long I've been doing this, but I can tell you it's been long enough that when I first was over Red Cross Disaster Services, and I called the weather service in Pensacola and asked them how high the storm tops were on what was coming in on us. They asked me why I wanted to know that and what I was going to do with the information, and was miffed that anybody would be able to use that information. But I'd been a novice weather person for a long time. I've read about every book on weather I could. But I work in healthcare, so my main educational part was that, and my degree in business. Man, we got some wicked storms up here in front of us. I don't know, I'm sure y'all can see that. Whoa! We got some impressive lightning out here tonight. a while. As far as actually chasing professionally, and I mean professionally, is we've set up a special vehicle. We've got everything we need. We got 3 radars in the front seat. We got specialized cameras to capture what we're able to see. You always want redundancy on your radars and redundancy on your cameras. So our cameras are separate from our live stream, and we're shooting both GoPros and 4K video streams on our so we got 6 cameras in the front windshield. We got cameras in both the sides of the car to capture, because when you have to bug out, you don't want to not capture what you're running from, and we're able to capture that with our side cameras. So if you go back to say how long we've been doing this, I don't know, I've been doing it 10 years, maybe 15. 10 years with a specialized vehicle set up for it. 5 years I did it before I had a special vehicle. And you definitely want to set up an old, so this is a 2007 vehicle that I've totally rebuilt underneath of it to be able to handle the mileage and the bumps and the wear and tear. Totally rebuilt it. Everybody laughs at me, but if you have a big truck sets up off the ground, the wind, and we've been in some pretty heavy wind up to 100 miles an hour, can easily get under the truck and flip you. Because we've almost we've almost been flipped in this vehicle that I chose, because it only sits 6 inches off the ground. The other reason I won't drive a pickup is I may be tempted to go somewhere I shouldn't go and get stuck. And you don't want to get stuck out in the middle of nowhere in front of a tornadic storm. You might not survive. Plus you want something that's fuel economy efficient. Hey Jen, welcome aboard.
We're 3 miles outside of Haskell.
Okay.
Then we're going to go to Stamford. Once we get to Haskell, we're going to take a right onto US
Go down
277.
that way.
That's what we're going to do,
Okay.
to go to Stamford.
I'll warn you though, if you go storm chasing the first time, you're going to get hooked. You'll either get hooked on it, or it'll scare you so bad you don't want to come back. But the thing is, we always know where the tornado is generally going to come from. As long as we know where it's going to come from, then we can stay away from it. A lot better than being put under a tornado warning and sitting at your house and saying, well, I hope it don't hit us. Because I can tell you at my house, we're all outside on the porches looking. Wherever the most lightning is generally where the tornado is going to be in the thunderstorm, because that's where the most energy is being focused on. You know, it's funny, in the 60s and the 70s, they thought the way the tornadoes formed was when lightning struck and created a vacuum. When the two air masses came back together, it started spinning and caused a tornado.
Whoa, that was a really good one.
Told you this lightning's gonna get hairy here in a little while. Kind of archaic thinking. It sounded logical, but pretty archaic thinking compared to what we know today. A lot more involved than just a lightning strike causing a tornado.
In 7/10 of a mile, you take a right onto US 277.
If you subscribe to our channel and go view the Kansas chase on the 18th of this month, go to the last hour or so of the live stream that we shot, and you'll see that mile-wide tornado and how important it is to have a second person in the vehicle. Oh man, that's what takes out bears. Second person in the vehicle helping you with directions right here.
Yes. Someone's asking who I am.
My navigator. Because while you're driving, somebody's got to be navigating. And if you go, and that's why I was pointing out that live video we did, literally counting out the tenths of a mile, because it was raining so hard I couldn't see hardly out the windshield. And to be sure you don't miss a turn, especially as close as we were to that tornado and as big as it was supposed to be, you've got to have a second person in the vehicle, not only to look out that side of the car in case something's coming, but to help you with navigation. And you'll hear her literally counting down the tenths of a mile until my next turn, because I'm pretty sure one road we went down, we had only passed a particular point 3 miles before that tornado crossed that highway. We knew we didn't have a second to spare, and we had to be absolutely accurate on the directions of where we were going to.
In 1 mile, we're going to take a left to stay on 277 south.
In a mile.
In 1 mile. Then Greg is asking if we're in Texas.
We just passed through Haskell, Texas. We're on our way to, what are we on our way to?
We're on our way to Stanford.
We're on our way to Stanford, Texas, where all these thunderstorms are moving into.
And then from there, we're going to go to Albany.
So we'll probably follow these storms on a little bit. They're actually moving now to the
In
southeast.
half a mile, we take a left.
Because tomorrow's forecast for severe weather is going to be down in the
3/10
Abilene area, and we'll be down there tomorrow.
2/10 of a mile.
It just curves.
In a 10th of a mile, you take a left. Oh, at the stop sign. But more people say hi.
Glad all of y'all are aboard.
This is where you
Left?
stay on 277 north.
Okay, I'm on 277 north. You said take a left. Am I right?
No, go south. Sorry.
Go the other way?
Go the other way.
That's what I thought.
There we go. That many miles.
Man, there is a lot of chasers down here. So we're going into an area where there must be 50 or 75 other storm chasers at right now down here. Probably filming this lightning.
And then somebody wants to know if there are more, do you think there are more tornadoes now than a decade ago?
No, I don't think there are. I think, so I'm not a big fan of global warming. I think we need to take care of the earth, but I don't think that what we went through is any different than we went through any other century or decade or score. What I do think is that there's more people now living in more places, and there's more people out here like us storm chasing, and more tornadoes are identified and videotaped, where before all the Weather Service could do is say, I think one might have touched down in that area, but unless somebody calls them and tells them there's damage, they probably didn't go out and check it. They were only checking the ones that were reported and reported had damage, because unfortunately storm classification is still 100% based on damage that it caused to structures. And then they'll look at like barks ripped off trees. But if it's just barks ripped off trees, and I'll give you a good example, the Mississippi, Philadelphia to Alabama Hasselberg tornado was only listed, it should have been an EF5. It sucked up 2 feet of dirt where its path crossed in one area, and took up asphalt in other areas where it crossed highways, and was only listed as an EF3. But because most of Philadelphia, Mississippi, when it went through rural areas, and when it got over into Alabama, it was still mostly in rural areas until it hit part of that one town. But by then, the damage was only EF3 damage. But when it was in Philadelphia and crossed over in Alabama, there's pictures of it on the internet. You can look at it. There's literally, the earth was not only scoured, 2 feet of dirt was picked up for a long ways, and then asphalt was ripped up off the highways. You don't get that with an EF3. But since it didn't hit a structure, they only gave it EF3 because the damage they found was only EF3 damage. So no, I don't think there's any more. I think there's just a lot more awareness. There's a lot more people out there videotaping them, particularly since cell phones came around. All the tornadoes that occurred, you know, early on, even in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, if you didn't have a 8mm camera, which very few people today in the 60s and early 70s, there was no video evidence of the tornadoes. So I think there's just as many, and it varies year to year. Like last year was a very busy year, and this year started out pretty slow, but we actually have taken some of our best tornado video in the last 2 weeks. Even though there was more tornadoes last year, and we won't talk about April 26th, because that was one day we decided we were so tired we need to take the day off, and that was one day they had an outbreak of tornadoes in Nebraska and Iowa. So we don't talk about April 26th, because everybody got videotapes of tornadoes on April 26th except us.
Okay, Vicky says, you said you read a lot of books related to weather. Are there any that you recommend?
Well, the books I read before were actually weather-related books that was provided to me as being head of the Red Cross Disaster Services, because the Red Cross used to handle all disasters back then, and we were congressionally mandated to do that. those books are so out of date now, and the information in them was pretty poor, except it gave you some basic information. I would highly recommend taking the Spotter 1 and Spotter 2 classes on YouTube and, become a spotter, but they're very informative. Then there's also some YouTube videos on supercell structure and how to identify, a supercell from a thunderstorm, which is the most important thing first, is you got to know what the difference is. I mean, we used to have a lot of thunderstorm squall lines come through Florida, but they wasn't supercell. They were just straight line storms that had a wall cloud. So today, with YouTube around, I would take, just Google, but I'd start with probably the Spotter 1, Spotter 2 training classes that the NOAA has out there. And if you want to take the test, which is pretty basic, and get certified as a spotter, then I'd do that. And then the more advanced classes that they've got out there on YouTube, I'd watch them, because you can watch them over. If you don't get it the first time, you watch it over and over and over until you catch it. I tell you, one of the best ones that I've watched, I had to watch it 3 or 4 times to really digest everything that was in it and compare it to a couple of videos that we shot, because it was so dramatic on the video, I wasn't sure what I was actually watching. Is Paul Markowski from University of Pennsylvania, or UPenn. He's a tornado genesis expert and researcher. There's probably a couple of the best videos out there on presentations that he did that I've ever seen, but you may have to watch them. It'd probably be good to go storm chasing one time and then watch them, because once you identify a supercell and you can see it and identify the structures on it, and there's a lot of YouTube videos on that, I would say watch as many of those as you can. And then watch Dr. Markowski's presentations on tornado genesis. And we actually filmed 2 tornadoes over I would say that the distance across the front of the viewfinder was 6 to 8 miles, maybe more. And we saw the entire structure. I mean, just as textbook as you could get, including the streamwise vorticity circulation coming across the ground, which is actually cold air feeding from the front of the supercell into the back of the structure, feeding the storm, making it more intense. And that is exactly where the tornado formed, occluded, and reformed 3 or 4 times. So we've got at least 2 major videos on that. And one of them was last April in Iowa, and we've actually posted that one out there on our channel. So that's why we encourage everybody to be sure to subscribe and go look at some of those, because I try, once we post them, if there's something interesting, I'll go back and edit them and put actual markers on them to point out structures where you can understand what's going on. So you can see the raw video that we shot until we got to the point we had to bug out because our safety was jeopardized. A good one would be that Illinois tornado last Friday in Marion, Illinois. Perfect tornado genesis. You see it come down, you see it form, it's a perfect wedge, and then within a minute, maybe 2, it becomes totally rain wrapped. And so if you don't know what a tornado wrapped in rain looks like, you can see that one perfectly, and literally before your eyes it gets wrapped in rain. and if you hadn't have seen it before it got wrapped in rain, you wouldn't believe it was there, but it was a mile wide. So that'd be a good one just for, but anything you can find like that. Pecos Hank on YouTube has some really good videos out there. He actually identified part of a lightning flash, and I think he got to name it. So when lightning comes down to the ground, it actually goes out the top of the cloud, and he called those parts that were shooting out the top sprites, just like the soft drink Sprite. And that was pretty cool, but you got to catch them with a high-speed camera to see them. And so I thought that was pretty cool. So Pecos Hank's got some really good ones out there. Dr. Markowski's got some good ones. But I would highly recommend starting with the basics and taking the Spotter 1 and Spotter 2 training classes on YouTube. And they're not very long, and you can always stop them and, you know, watch the rest of it at a different time. And then if you want to be a certified spotter, then you can get certified and join the spotter network, and you'll be one of those red dots out there on the radar map.
In 3.5 miles, we're going to take a left onto County Road 2702.
I'm going to tell you, even though it's late at night down here, it is warm down here in Texas. Whoa!
And that's when we'll be in Stamford. And the next city that we're heading into is Looters. No, it'll
Albany.
be Avoca.
Are we going to Albany? You got me on Albany up there.
Yes, we're heading to Albany, but we're going to pass through a few cities to get to Albany.
And a storm if we get that close to it. So according to that sign we just passed, we're 40 miles from Abilene, Texas, and tomorrow that's where we're going to be chasing, is the Abilene, Texas and Big Springs area. How far?
2.6 miles.
The other thing I'd recommend, if you're going to storm chase, don't count on your cell phone getting you out of a place if you get lost, because there's a lot of places we go to there is no cell coverage. So be sure to take you an old type Garmin or TomTom GPS. We actually have 3 of them in here.
Oh, someone's asking if you speak Polish.
I don't, but the person navigating does fluently. And it's funny you ask that, because last year in Oklahoma, we ran into some storm chasers, and I was talking to them. They had an accent, and they were actually from Poland. They had came over to storm chase for 4 or 5 weeks from Poland because they don't have tornadoes in Europe. And Lisa talked to them in Polish because her descendants or kin is from Poland, so she speaks it.
1.4 miles, take a left onto County Road 2702.
That paved.
I believe so. It didn't tell me otherwise.
So anyway, don't count on your cell phone for navigation. Take you a Garmin. And the second thing I tell you about being out here is never get on a road that's not paved. It may be hard as a rock when you get on it, but if it's going to rain on you before you get to the other end, I can assure you, you won't be able to drive down that road. A good example of that is the big El Reno tornado of 2013. I couldn't figure out why so many chasers got caught
Half a mile.
in the storm, And I just happened to be in El Reno out here chasing one day, and it was the anniversary, and it started raining about 5:30, and so I decided to go out there on the roads that they were on that day, around El Reno and Mustang and all that, where that El Reno tornado was. And I found out real quick. Where? This one?
Yeah.
You want me to get on that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that made me a believer, because I got on those roads and it looked okay. It was gravel, had chert, clay road with gravel on top. Could not go 25 miles an hour without sliding all over the road. That tornado, El Reno tornado that day, was traveling at 55 miles an hour forward speed at one point. So if it was traveling at 55 miles an hour and it wasn't impacted by muddy roads, but the chasers could only go 25 or 30, that's how it was able to catch up with them, and unfortunately several of them died that day. We don't want that ever happen again.
2.5 miles, we take a right on the Highway 6 south.
Whoa! That's been a power truck. New, welcome on board. We're about 40 miles from Abilene, Texas. We're out here in the middle of the country, headed for Albany, Texas. We got storms everywhere out here, and lots of lightning. Straight.
Straight 1.5 miles.
Big storms coming in. When they first started forming up here near Guthrie, they were hardly moving at all. They just stood there and kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now they're moving to the southeast. We're headed to Albany. Tomorrow is actually going to be the severe weather for Abilene and Big Springs and all that area.
1 mile.
They've already got an enhanced risk of 3 out of 5. So we'll be chasing, and we'll be live down there tomorrow. Kittles, welcome aboard. I saw you come on a while ago. I just forgot to give you a shout out.
Half a mile. Take a right on the Highway 6 south.
If you're in Abilene, you should be getting a lot of this lightning too.
It'll be at the stop sign.
Up there.
And this will take us all the way into Albany.
The tree limb's down right there.
Yep. Skittles said that you're fine, that they had to top off for a little bit, or hop off for a little bit, get the kids to bed. Are there any any tornado warnings in the area right now?
We have a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings because of all this lightning out here tonight. But I don't believe there's any more tornado warnings in this part of Texas. Let me look and see if there's any anywhere else.
And
But we got tree limbs down all over the place on this highway we're on.
and Jacksonville News says, where's it raining at right now?
We're
We're on Highway 6 South,
what's that?
just outside of Stanford.
We're just outside of Stanford, Texas. These severe storms have been out here all day. We had some tree limbs back there. There was some spin up tornadoes earlier tonight, but we don't know if that was straight line winds back there or spin up. But the tornadoes today, we knew if they did form, they wouldn't be on the ground very long.
And Jacksonville did say, I live in Jacksonville, Florida, and hurricane season starts tomorrow.
38 years I was in Florida and was part of emergency management up in the Panhandle. Many a tornado, many a hurricane come through. But as you know, we really didn't worry too much unless it got over and he got to a category 4. If it got to a high 3 or a category 4, then you got our attention. Category 3, as long as we knew in time it was coming, pretty easy to get everybody evacuated and hunker down for the 24 hours that it would be there coming over.
Skittles wants to know, how can you tell how long a tornado will be on the ground for?
You absolutely cannot tell how long a tornado is going to be on the ground for. Tornado genesis and the science behind it, while it's better than it was a couple of decades ago, we still cannot tell you exactly. We can tell you where in the storm they might be produced. We can tell you the area of the country, state, or community that may have the highest potential based on dew points, temperature, wind shear, that kind of stuff. But as far as if and when they'll develop, where they're going to touch down at, and how long they're going to be on the ground is not an exact science. Sometimes the National Weather Service Severe Forecast Center will say that a particular day is going to have the opportunity for long track tornadoes, but that's only based on the ingredients that we know has to be in the atmosphere for that to occur. But now you still can't tell. I mean, that one the other night that we filmed last Sunday night up in Kansas was on the ground for over 45 minutes. The one that we filmed the Friday before that in Illinois was only on the ground for about 10 miles. Most tornadoes aren't even on the ground that long. They actually registered one the other day that was only on the ground for 600 yards or something like that. I mean, if it hit your house, it don't have to be on the ground long. But now there was a tornado, and I'm trying to think of I think it was in 1974. And they call that day the Day of the Killer Tornadoes. There was 300 some, almost 400 tornadoes in the country in 36 hours. And one of those tornadoes stayed on the ground for over 300 miles, and I forget how many people it killed. It was in the hundreds. And that was in 1974. So that was the worst day that I'm aware of in history. Somebody asked earlier or we have more tornadoes now than the past. Well, in 1974, that one day in April, a 36-hour time period, there was almost 400 tornadoes in that time period. One town in Limestone County, Alabama, in the north part, got hit with 2 tornadoes that night, back to back. Within an hour of the first one, the second one came through, just outside of Huntsville. The only city in the United States that's ever been hit twice by the Alabama, and it got a tornado last week. The one that came through Huntsville.
Okay, Deanne says, thanks for the great live footage of that huge tornado last week. I enjoyed your stream.
Do what?
He says, thanks for the great live footage of the tornado last week. I enjoyed your stream.
Which one? The Kansas or the Illinois one? The Illinois one, we got in a great position just at the right time to catch that supercell, but we had been watching it for a while, and was able to film tornado genesis on it, and then we followed it into Creo Springs, where devastated that community, but no deaths and no serious injuries.
Skills wants to know if we've ever filmed multiple tornadoes on the ground at once, and is that uncommon?
That, my first impression is it's uncommon. I wouldn't say it's very uncommon. Look at our Illinois video from 2 years ago. We were sitting in Mount Vernon, Illinois, filming at night across the fields, and filmed what we believe are 2 tornadoes. The National Weather Service told us what we were videotaping was the Belvedere tornado that night. Even though we were in Mount Vernon, it was so big and underneath that supercell cloud, big wedge tornado, but there was also a second one out to the left of it. Didn't last long, but at the same time, and we caught them during a lightning flash, and that on our channel as well. You'll see it on the picture of the video. You'll see both tornadoes sitting there.
Okay, and Deanne says it was a Kansas 2.5 mile wide one.
That was a tight night. I encourage everybody to go back and watch that one. I think we drove in front of that tornado with about 3 to 5 minutes to spare, because by the time we got to that city down there, I'm trying to remember, two more, anyway, by the time we got to the highway we were headed to and flipped around, we had that tornado in our sights about 4 miles in front of us, and that was so big, I could not believe it. That's where you have to have a second person in the car, and if you were watching, you noticed it was counting down the tenths of a mile for my next turn, because I couldn't see out the window, and there was so much lightning like there is tonight. Between the lightning and the rain, I couldn't see out the window. So we went back 2 days. Well, we went back the next day and talked to the town. Now, that town's only about a football field and a half long, but they all ran down as soon as the siren went off and got in the church basement, and that's why nobody was killed or hurt. But it ripped the roof off that church. So it was about rain like this here, a little bit harder last Sunday night. Now, you probably couldn't tell how tense we were, but I was pretty tense on that chase. I knew that tornado was close. It was big. If we lose you, don't go away. We'll get our cell phone coverage back.
Yes, she did great with the navigation.
I'm going to tell you, if I'd went to that Sylvia, that first town I was headed to, that's exactly where that tornado went to, just south of that town. I mean, like just south of that town. And it slammed head on right next to it.
Okay, says hi, it's getting rough, and Sean says that's gotta be really freaking
I'll tell you, of all the instances that we've been of it, it was coming right at us. We only had a few minutes to do it, but you don't want to be on the north side. That storm had so much hail in it. Well, all those people we passed was okay.
I can't tell if that's a car or street light.
It's a car. Don't pay the ransom. We've escaped.
2.7 miles to
Welcome on board, new people. We lost a few there for a minute. We lost our cell and our live stream, but we're back. A lot of trees on the highway back there, like something come through. We don't out here. We're only about 30 miles from Abilene, Texas, to the north. Still got lots of land out here.
Paso says y'all okay.
Oh yeah, we've been through worse. Oh, boy. Look at that big lightning out there.
1.3 miles, take the left on Flying Park Road.
There is so much.
Sir, how's this taste so far?
So far, it's great. Everybody thinks we're crazy. Especially when I tell them we drive about 40 or 45,000 miles a year. Well, we finally figured it out. Finally figured it out. There must be a cell tower down in this area is all we can figure. With all the tree limbs on the highway back there, I'm wondering if something didn't come through here earlier and take down a tower or take it out of commission, or maybe all that lightning struck one of the cell phone towers and took it out. But we got a lot of lightning out here right now. How do I get there from here? Yeah, sorry about that. We've got a cell phone booster in here, but I'm thinking the amount of lightning that we've got, there's got to be a cell phone tower down here somewhere. Blowing out there. That might have been straight line winds that took them tree limbs and all down that back in the road back here. Figured out what they're doing. If it wasn't for those amber lights we've got on the front, we wouldn't be able to see this road very good. So when I turn the white ones on, it looks like it's got great vision on the live stream, but I can tell you for us, it does absolutely nothing out the windshield. When I turn my high beams on, you can see them go past the amber lights, but the amber lights is what lights everything up on both sides of the highway and gives us about 75 to 100 feet of visibility when we can't see anything else. Those white lights we put on here basically to be able to see tornado debris being blown. Which way?
Left.
Here?
Yes.
Where do I go if I go straight?
If you go straight,
Yeah.
you'll end up in the center of town at a dentist.
No, don't want to do that.
And Interstate 7.
Regularly.
You want to go to Breckenridge?
Probably gonna be the same route. What number is this road?
This road is Mia's Road.
Doesn't have a number.
No. In half an hour, we're going to take a right onto South Lake Road to get to Breckenridge. That's a mile south of the road.
Here.
Yes. And we're gonna stay up on here for 2.5 miles. Then we'll take a left on 351.
Okay. Oh.
The light is right.
Man, we can feel that wind out there now. Let me look at something here.
Misty says hi.
Glad to have you on board. Left.
Left.
Now that is a big car wash.
And Christy's asking, she said, thank you, what area is the store?
They're moving towards Fort Worth, Texas, and we're not far from Breckenridge, Texas. And right now, that whole shebang is moving. Some of it's going through Wichita Falls, but that's not bad. The bad stuff down here where we're at with all the lightning is headed to west side of Dallas, the Fort Worth area. But it's an hour or more before it gets there. I haven't had any reports of any tornadoes down this way, so that must have been straight line winds that took out those tree limbs. But we must have a cell phone tower down, is all I can figure. There was no reason we shouldn't have coverage back here. We've thought about putting a Starlink system in, but the problem is with storms and high cloud tops, can't get to the satellite. It doesn't work.
Misty says, oh my gosh, y'all stay safe. I'm in Nacona, Texas. We've had heavy rain and winds and lightning. Cleveland's down.
Yep. These are some nasty storms out here. You know, they'll put up a tornado watch and they'll put out a tornado warning. Doesn't necessarily have to be for a tornado per se. It can be for straight line winds that would exceed a small tornado. Nobody's going to do 75 on this road tonight. Too much water.
Oh, I know, I know.
was funny, but I know she was serious. A few weeks ago, we had somebody on the chat who told me to shut up and drive because she couldn't see blank where she was sitting at home, and I like to die laughing. Just shut up and drive, I can't see nothing on this end. Well, you ought to be out here. But don't worry, Misty, I tell you, after being a paramedic and being called out to a lot of wrecks and car in the ditch, and we can't see the car, even putting the spotlight down in the ditch, I've got the back of this car so lit up with reflectors and I've got reflectorized tape on the wheels, and like right now, we've got a 12-inch bar light on the back of the car because I almost backed into a water-filled ditch one night. So I put a 12-inch bar light on the back, and if we're driving with nobody behind us, I turn that on so just in case we ever do get blown over in a ditch, we'll be able to either see the light shining from that bar light, or they'll be able to, if they put a flashlight down on it or a spotlight, back of the car light up like Christmas tree. It's been many a night we found a car, barely saw it. If we hadn't, they could have been there till daylight the next morning, and you see that on the news all the time. So I have to, and that's just the paramedic in me. I take precautions that in case something does happen to us on a negative basis, how would they find us? So the gentleman that was on here earlier that was watching us last Sunday on that tornado in Kansas, I was calling out the highway numbers that we were on the video, on the live stream. And if you ever hear me calling out highway numbers and cross streets and all that, you know I'm in a situation that I think there's a high probability we may not get off that road without being blown over in the ditch. So I do that because we do have friends and relatives that watch us a lot. And if they've got to come find us, I'm calling them out on the live stream, so at the very least they can go back and see the last location we were at by listening to the live stream. However, I will tell you this, the first big storm I was on in South Dakota that turned out to be a derecho with 107 mile an hour winds, and it turned the sky black as night at 4:30 in the afternoon. I called my son to let him know where I was at because I didn't know how bad it was going to get, and I was telling him what was happening. He said, great. He said, I'm kind of tied up at the time, can you just text me some pictures and I'll look at them later? And you'll hear me on the tape telling him, no, I'm not calling you for that. I'm calling you to tell you where to find my body if you don't hear from me in a couple hours. And his whole tone changed after that. Now that I'm out, every time after that I go out chasing, they want to know what part of the country I'll be in that day. But that was a true story. I laughed. Just take pictures, Dad, and text them to me. I'll look at them later. No, I might need you to come find my body. Let me tell you where I'm at. That was funny. And then after he saw the video, I didn't have any problem after that.
For parts of the Mississippi Valley and the Tennessee Valley. Second, this is the video from Saturday, Henrietta, Oklahoma. This is a great video. It really shows perfectly what a downburst is. People talk about, oh my God, we got hit by a downburst. We got hit by a cyclone. Same thing. Straight line damage, the top of his gun. Big downburst.
Moving into Breckenridge, Texas, which is due west of Fort Worth. But we're not going to go into the city. We've got to go south for tomorrow. And we still got a lot of storms out here. We got a lot of lightning out here. There's a lot of electricity in these storms today. If you're just joining us at dusk, before it got dark, we were sitting on a plateau that a rancher got his gate set up there, and there is a workshop. Turned out, and I can't believe this now, and then the foreman told me we were on the QB Ranch in King County, Texas. If you've never heard of the QB Ranch, you might 100 feet above sea level there on that plateau. I bet we could see 30 miles across there, but it's a QB Ranch in King County, Texas, 1,000 acres. Active ranch with cattle. They also raise horses. And it's also a wildlife refuge. Wow, look at that lightning. We got some major lightning out here tonight. Texas is not a small state. That's all I can say. Texas has more tornadoes probably because it's so big.